And I think as well, one of the raison d'etre to create everything that I created was really to get all of us recognized more. Now, I was working as a language professional, and I was working in Germany between the years 2000 and 2013, 14, 15. I was running in and out of companies. I had a portfolio of about 50 clients all by myself. And a lot of the time, it really was this question of how do companies distinguish, how do clients distinguish who they decide to work with, who they decide to learn with. And it was always a question for me, how can we be different? Now, in the years 2003, 2004, I had a lot of people saying to me, Rachel, you're so different, you're so different. But I had to really stop and think, well, what is it that I'm doing that's different? Because I didn't know. And that thought process then, as many of you know, from the year 2000, when I initially went to Germany and was introduced to language coaching, which didn't exist in that time. For me, it was then a journey of really moving into the professional coaching world with ICF accreditation, and then moving into more of the emotional intelligence, neuroscience, a little bit that psychology in the background. And then bringing it all together to say, okay, well, what can we say is different? Now, today, 2023, we have a boom starting with language coaching. With the neuro, we're booming as well. So it's really that question of now, how do we bring clarity to the market? How do we help our learners, companies, privates, etc., to distinguish the service that they want and the service that they resonate with? One of the things that a human resource manager said to me back in 2000, I think it was about 2009, 10, he said, Rachel, language coaching sounds like a glorified language teaching. And all it sounds like is you're wanting more money as a glorified language teacher. He even went so far as saying that language teachers are like taxis. They take you from A to B, and that's it. My response to him nowadays would be, well, actually, you can take a Mini as a taxi, or you can take a Jaguar as a taxi, and they're going to have a different service and a different price. And that's exactly what we are trying to fathom and work out in the language teaching market and world. So what is coaching? What is language coaching? What it is not? What are the different types of coaching in education? Because I think there's a lot of confusion here. And we'll talk about that as we go along. How can coaching impact language learning? We're going to look at that. We're going to look at some of the research as well on coaching in education. And also, what's the reason for professional coach training? And how can accreditation help along the way? And with pleasure, if you have any other questions, these are the questions that I've siphoned from many, many years and many people, and obviously my questions as well. So if you have any other questions, I will keep the chat box open so that we can open up a dialogue if you would like. So what is coaching and what is coaching in education? Coaching in education has been around for a long time, really long time. But it's been called instructional coaching and educational coaching. Now, we'll come to that in a minute. What is coaching? Well, this is also a very interesting question because there are many, many different interpretations of coaching. I was speaking to one of our neurolanguage coaches over the last week. Her name's Karen. She lives in France. And apparently, and just give me a nod, those of you who are in France. So Rika, you're one of our ladies in France, and anybody else who's in France. Apparently, there's been a recent book. I'll have to ask Karen what it was called. But the book was talking, I think the first chapter is dedicated to coaching, and it really attacks the coaching profession. Sarah, I saw your hand up there. So I don't know if any of you know that book. If you do, just put it for me in the chat box. And we had a great talk about this, because when I started with language coaching back in Germany in the years 2000s, so from 2000 to 2010, I got a lot of criticism because the German understanding of coaching is actually a very long-term university educational training. And coaching for the Germans, and I believe for the French as well, traditionally is an academic thing, which includes psychology. It includes a lot of, let's say, going deeper into the theory of coaching, but it doesn't so much go into the practical side of coaching. So the French and the German understanding of coaching is much, much deeper than, for example, the International Coach Federation interpretation of coaching. They are totally different interpretations. And let me add, no judgment, no good, no bad, they are just different. So from somebody from academia to be attacking the ICF or the, let's say, professional business coaching stance, there's no reason to, and vice versa. The ICF coaches, none of us are actually attacking or criticizing the academic approach to coaching. And can I say to all of you, I was shocked about this, because the thing that made me the most shocked was on Wikipedia. I went onto the English page for coaching, and it gives you one definition. And I went onto the German translation, and it was a totally different script. Totally different. And that was when I realized there are different understandings. Nabila, merci beaucoup. Je te vous maintenant. Bonjour Paris. Et Olivier, il est assis. Le développement impersonnel, le succès d'une imposture by Julia de Funès. There you go, everybody. So if you're interested, have a look at this book, because the first chapter apparently absolutely sets into coaching. Now, obviously, it's about understanding the different perspectives. There's no right, there's no wrong, they are different perspectives. And again, this is where we need to be really bringing these perspectives to our market and our clients so that they understand this. Now, if we think about the origins of the word coach, we know it comes from the Hungarian. Reka, you can nod with me there. I know you are the Hungarian representative here. So it really does come from the word, it's a form of transport, a coach. Getting people from A to B, that's exactly the essence of coaching. I want to get my client from A to destination B. Now, in the 15th, 16th century in England, we saw that it was used for a private tutor, a teacher. And then later, 19th, 20th century, it was adapted by the sports world. And we have the sports coach. Now, the sports coach is very, very, very directive, empowering, lots of spirit of coaching. And that spirit of coaching is, yes, what we want. However, in the 1970s, when the international, let's say, well, actually the ICF were founded in the 1990s. So in the 1970s, when coaching in business was created, let's say, by some consultants, and especially with the GROW model, that was the first model that came out. That perspective of coaching was about being a soundboard, being a mirror, stimulating, provoking, reflecting back to get the person in front to find their own way, their own solutions, set their own goals. And this is where we have the two, if you like, different perspectives of coaching. You have the academic coaching, which goes deeply into psychotherapy, therapy, and helping somebody to come into that sort of aspect with that feeling of being a coach. Or you have the 1970s development of business coaching, which is about getting people to find their own way. It's about the person's autonomy. It's about them taking control of their own life, purpose, goals, visions, etc. And may I say, that type of coach is not directive. That type of coach does not go into psychotherapy. And that type of coach is really refraining from giving advice or jumping in. We are only jumping in when the person cannot find that way and they need that stimulation. So this is the clarity. Violeta, buenas tardes. How do you translate coach to Spanish? Well, you know, in many languages, I think it comes into the word formador, but then that gets lost with trainer. And I actually think in many languages, the idea would be that there is no translation. I know I think in Argentina, they call people coach. They call people teacher. In Brazil, they don't translate it. So here I would suggest that worldwide, we're probably going to be using that same word of coach across the world. I don't know what you all think, anybody else think about that. Agustina, entrenador. Sí, podría ser el entrenador. Sí, sí, absolutamente. El entrenador de fútbol siempre es el entrenador de fútbol. And in Argentina, you do use the word coach. Es un extranjerismo, sí, lo sé. But you use it. So maybe in this particular sense, because how would you say a business coach? Would you say entrenador de business? That would be the question. So, coach de negocios, Agustina, gracias. No lo habéis traducido, so you don't translate it. And I would suggest that possibly across the world, this is a term that does not need to be translating to make it distinct, to make it understood that it's not a football coach, it's not a trainer, it really is the coach. Now, we've just said the coach doesn't tell people what to do. We have all different types of coaching, and let's be honest, it is an unregulated business. Anybody can call themselves a coach. Anybody. And there's nothing wrong with that. I get some people who are very hot under the collar because everybody's calling themselves a coach. And there I would say, well, can't anybody call themselves a teacher? People call themselves a teacher without going through the accreditations or the qualifications or the examinations of being a teacher. So where is the difference? Now, coaching is an unregulated business, which means, as we've just said, everybody can call themselves a coach. Now, you're going to get different types of people calling themselves coach, and we're going to look at this in a minute. For the moment, we've distinguished the academics that go through maybe a 5-year training with university degree, with other things in the background, with maybe pedagogy in the background, or psychology, psychotherapy, whatever. And then you're going to get the others which are connected to international associations, federations, foundations, which represent the coaching, or let's say the business coaching profession in the world. And the most recognized worldwide is the International Coach Federation. I honestly think because they are the oldest, so they were founded in the 1990s, they are a non-profit organization, and they are setting out the standards, the guidelines, the ethics for professional coaching. Now, you do have the International Authority for Professional Coaching Mentoring, Center for Credentialing and Education, European Mentoring and Coaching Council, International Association of Coaching. You have other associations. Some of them are regionally located across the world. Now, I always focus on the ICF because we are accredited by the ICF. So I've worked for the ICF for the last 11 years. It's 11 years that we carry our accreditation, and they really do set out the standards, the guidelines, the ethics for the coaching profession. On the one side, you have ICF credentialed coaches, which is a personal credential. So I myself, I'm a PCC. Many of my coaches are coming into doing the life coaching as well. But that's different to the course accreditations. And the course accreditations are continuous coach education, CCE recognized courses, which carry credits. Now, those credits are needed if you want to then become a credentialed ICF coach. But also, if you have done an accredited coach training course, it means that you have gone through the training of what it means to be a professional coach. It means that you have gone through that training. So we have to distinguish the ICF personal credentials and the course accreditations. They're two different things. The ICF set out the standards, the guidelines, the ethics, and they have a body which represents let's say the core competences of being a coach. And each of these competences represents what it means to work as a professional coach. Everything that we do integrates these into the language learning process. What do we bring over to language coaching? Well, we definitely bring over the concept of service, the agreement, the confidentiality, the goal setting process, the action setting, motivations, commitment, managing progress, setting time periods, and the periodic review of goals, plus ethics, standards, guidelines, the competences in everything that we do. And that's the nutshell of what we are taking over from the coaching world. Now, what are the different types of coaching and education? Well, first I want to say there are many different types of coaching. We've got life coaching, business coaching, executive coaching. You've got things like career coaching, spiritual coaching, health coaching, all types of things now. It seems that coaching is everywhere. Coaching and education, we could say, is mostly called instructional and educational coaching. And as I said earlier, they have been around for over 20 years. However, there is a slightly different perspective to those as to what we are bringing in with language coaching and neurolanguage coaching. For me, professional coaching is really the communication vehicle. It's the pattern of communication that changes when we are in that learning process. So let's have a look at instructional coach. Well, mostly they are partnering with teachers and helping individual teachers to set goals and also understand how to optimize and maximize their teaching. And the instructional coach is together with the teacher to achieve those goals. So here we have the relationship is more the coaches with the teachers, and the teachers then are delivering to the learners. It's different to what we are going to be suggesting. And here you have a lot of research coming in from 2007, 2017, and quite a lot of research explaining how instructional coaching is integrated with modeling, feedback, etc. Coaching sessions leading the teacher to the appropriate dialogue and space in the classroom. So really helping teachers, that's the main focus. Now, educational coaching is similar, but there it's about facilitating more information, creating more solutions, more troubleshooting. And it's really focusing more on solutions and methodologies to improve teaching approaches. Now, again, normally educational coaches are working with teachers, and they're brought in to be the change agent. And there, it's about helping teachers to integrate more and more coaching practices into what they do. So here I would say it's having more of a knock-on effect of how teachers are teaching. And there you have teacher-centered coaching, bringing teachers more awareness of strategies and performance, etc. And student-centered coaching, which is focused on how to get more performance from students, how to enhance student performance. So instructional coaching and educational coaching, as I've said, has been around for over 20 years, but with a very different perspective. Neuro-heart educational coaching, neurolanguage coaching. May I suggest that this is where we are really bringing in the bridge between teaching and coaching, because when you put them together, they are absolutely a dichotomy, because teaching is about instructing, curricula, giving information, telling what to do. Coaching is not. Coaching is about spontaneous, following the learner, and really adapting. How do they come together? Well, actually, they can. Because when you have the coach who has a clear structure in the background, but is able to dance, adapt, personalize to the person or the group, that's when you've bridged the gap with teaching and coaching. Olivier, I love it. It's like tango and salsa coming together. Yes, I'm not sure about the music for both though, but yes, absolutely. Now, neuroheart educators are, as I said, bridging not only the coaching conversation, but also the neuroscience. They really are bridging and reconciling that dichotomy, and they really are transformed educators. They have the professional coach training, they know about the neuroscience, and they deliver that very holistic, all-encompassing approach. It very much is heart, brain, intuition coming together, sitting in that space, and maximizing and optimizing the learning of that person or persons in front of us, because everybody will be different. Now, we have in Neuroheart Education on the one side, the Neuroheart Educational Coach, which is for all topics. It's for physics, maths, science, whatever you like. And on the Neurolanguage side, you have the professionals in language delivery, and they are the language experts. Now, the reason they're separated out is firstly because my origins are a language expert, obviously. So there, for me, it was weaving and interweaving the coaching and the neuroscience together with our language expertise, as you are also language experts. Neuroheart education, we have nothing to do with the expertise of the teachers. So we are not maths teachers, chemistry teachers, biology teachers, but what we are bringing in is the principles from the coaching, the communication from coaching, the troubleshooting from coaching, and the emotional intelligence, the neuroscience into the learning process. So they are similar courses, but they are different in that respect. And when we are together with maths teachers, with history teachers, with chemistry teachers, they are the experts in their field. All we are doing is helping them to deliver it in a different way. And I always say that when you come into Neuroheart educators, you come to really see that transition and that transformation. You have quietly confident professionals, compassionate, understanding the real meaning of compassion, learner-centric, and that selflessness in that teaching process. Now, let's just move into this question now. What is language coaching? What is it not? And then let's go a little bit deeper into what is neurolanguage coaching. And I just want to say hi to everybody that came in a little bit later today. Thank you for being here. It's Friday afternoon. I'm always grateful when people appear on Friday afternoon or Saturday morning. By the way, we are doing it in the afternoon so that we can get some of our audience from the US and from other parts of the world who, like Argentina, who, when I do the webinars in the morning, I know it's your 3 o'clock in the morning. So thank you to all of you from the other side of the world who are here today. Now, in my book in 2017, I actually, prior to that, it was actually Dimitris Stepos who published this table in a research paper called Profiling Neurolanguage Coaches. And I'll give you that reference a little bit later. So the table actually came out, I believe, first in 2015, and then in my book in 2017. And you'll see in the book that there is actually a comparison: language teaching, language coaching. Some people got hold of this on LinkedIn and they had a field day with it. They really had a field day because they were questioning the table. I always say, and when you look at my book, when you look at anywhere that I put this table, I always say that teachers worldwide intuitively are coming into this side of the table. Intuitively, teachers worldwide know the learners have changed, our brains have changed, circumstances have changed, and we are all shifting into a much more, I would say, identifiably coaching process than before. However, there are still areas in this world which are very, very, very conservative and very teacher-focused, teacher-centered and directive. My ladies in France, France is maybe one of the strongest that I know. This French school system, I had 2-3 weeks, over the last 2-3 weeks, I had people on the phone from France, teachers who are absolutely frustrated and really wanting the whole system to change. So, language coaching, what does it mean? It really means that we are sitting in the space with our learners, we're adapting, we're personalizing, we're adjusting. It really means that we are getting them to be active, to take responsibility, ownership, learner autonomy. It's their learning process, not ours. I always quote T. Doyle, neuroscientist, who says, to learn something, you have to do it. You can't just sit there. You have to do it. But that message is for us, because we have to stop doing it. And we have to stop doing it for them. I always say 80% them, 20% us, maybe it's 70% them, 30% us. In the end, it's always going to be more of them, less of us. Always. And those of you who come onto my course, you know, right in those first sessions, I always talk about Socrates. Socrates used to bite his lip to shut up. And that's what we have to do. We really have to bite our lips, stop those teacher habits, stop firing out those questions. We need to stop and think a lot more about how we are communicating and talking and stimulating our learners in that moment. Motivation is key. We have to explore it. Commitment is key. We have to understand it. We've got many busy learners nowadays. People can't commit to do 1-2 hours a week of work. They can't. They don't have time even to be with families or friends. They don't have time to read a book. By the way, I speak for myself. But I want to learn languages. So how do we do it? We have to sit with them and talk about conscious learning, subconscious learning. We have to talk about subconscious input. If you can't sit and do it, bombard your brain with the language as much as you can when you're in the car, when you're listening to the radio, when you're in the kitchen cooking. Do whatever you want, but have it going in the background, because even that will have an impact. Normally as a coach, I always say no books. Now, I don't mean no books ever. What I mean is to use the books as self-study or to use the books as triggers to then get you and your coachee into real and personal for them. Books are fantastic. I love them. But when I've got a client sitting with me, I want them to be spinning and dancing and co-creating materials with me. They're going to be doing it, not just reading it. Reading a book is too passive. It's not them doing it enough. And we have equal status. No judgment, independent. I'm really going to be removing any sort of communication that's giving the feeling of judgment, even subconsciously. I don't want them to have that feeling. We're on an equal status. Even with kids, I'm on an equal status with them. And that means I'm non-directive, asking lots of permission. Could we, may we, how about, what do you think if? And that keeps them calm. If they are calm, they're going to be in the right learning state. Teaching is really kept to a minimum. Lots of feedback, lots of dopamine, lots of stimulation, lots of trying to provoke the connections. Target native language stimulation all the time. And as a language coach, we really are looking at how to be cost effective. After every session, I need to ask myself, how cost effective was that? What was the impact of the learning today? How much did my learner learn, really learn today? And they need to be asking themselves the same thing as well. They need to be able to answer those questions as well. Now, in October, I will be releasing book 3. And book 3 is actually going to be, there's a part at the beginning where I'm clarifying the market. And this is an excerpt from that book. And I've tried to classify language coaches. I've tried to classify with clarity what it means to be a language coach. And let's just take it through step by step. And by the way, in the book, I also say there is no judgment here. There's no right or wrong. All of these are valid, justifiable, and professionals. But the point is how they come to call themselves a coach. And that's what we're pointing out here. Now, in the first instance, you have language teachers who just follow the trend, and they call themselves a language coach. I would say here they are very experienced teachers, very experienced language teachers who probably do have a lot of coaching, let's say, style. They are accompanying, they're doing what the client wants, they're following the client. However, there's no coaching training in there. There's no understanding of powerful questions. There's no understanding of coaching conversations around emotional blocks or troubleshooting the learning process. Maybe as well, there's a lot of directiveness. There's a lot of teacher habits in there. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying they probably are there. Let's neutralize this conversation so that nobody gets upset. And it's fine. You know, there are many professions out there who are doing this, and that's fantastic. Now, next ones. You have the ones who, again, maybe have more expertise. Maybe they've been teaching languages for 30, 40 years, and they are taking on that as a demonstration of their experience. And again, for me, it's that sense of wanting to distinguish themselves. I don't know about all of you, but when I came into the market, let's say 2000, 2002, 2003, I actually called myself an ESP teacher. Any of you do that? English for specific purposes. To distinguish myself, and I actually have a TEFL ESP. So this is the question, where are we distinguishing ourselves? And that is, I think, where the second group are coming in. They are trying to distinguish themselves. They probably are ESPs. And they're adding that distinction by adding the word coach afterwards. Now, here I would say they may have a little bit more knowledge about intuitive coaching because they've been doing it maybe longer than the first group. Now, the third group are the language teachers who take and fulfill a life coaching qualification. And here you have some, I think Nabila is with me. Nabila, you are, I think, an Erickson life coach. Congratulations, by the way. And other people as well, life coaches from other bodies. Some of you are ACC, ICF coaches, as we said before. And this is different because they're doing a life coaching process, let's say a life coaching course, and then they are using that with language learners. And here, there may be a gray line with what is life coaching, business coaching, what is language learning, and how do they connect into language learning? Because normally life coaching courses have nothing to do with language learning. And can I just clarify as well, the ICF, the International Coach Federation, has nothing to do with languages. It is purely a coach, a professional coach training organization. Now, the next ones are the ones who are taking a language coaching course, because there are now some other language coaching courses being offered, which are offering knowledge of the techniques and the models from life coaching and using these to troubleshoot and enhance the learning. But these courses mostly are not accredited by any body. They may have a person leading it who has an ICF credential, but the courses themselves are not accredited. And finally, there are those who are looking at the Neurolanguage coaching course, where we are not only integrating the professional coaching, but we're also bringing in neuroscience, emotional intelligence, we're bringing in the non-directive coaching style, and we are fully integrating this into the language learning process because of our language expertise. It's not only accredited by the ICF, but it's also accredited by the UK Standards Office. UK Standards Office is for teachers across the world, and it's continuous professional development for teachers. So we carry a double accreditation. Now, as I said earlier, there's no right or wrong here, and everybody can find their path. Everybody finds the path that resonates with them, as every client will find every service that resonates with him or her. And there's no right or wrong. And now let me just say what language coaching is not from my perspective. And this is definitely what I believe. Others may not believe this, but I actually personally believe it's not just a traditional student learner. It's not just going through a language book. It's not a branded course. It's not life coaching. Anything to do with language coaching has to do with enhancing, improving, learning a language. Let's take an analogy of this. Health coaching. Anything to do with health coaching has to do with enhancing, improving, and helping somebody with regard to the topic of health. For me, it's the same with language learning. It's not life coaching. We're not there to get them to find out, I don't know. The reason I'm saying this, everybody, is because there are a lot of language teachers in companies who then, with clients, are maybe overstepping the mark of language learning. And that's where, as a neurolanguage coach, we are very clear on the boundaries. And by the way, the ICF makes us really understand that there are boundaries. We are not psychotherapists, we are not therapists, And if at any point we feel that a client needs that different type of service, we have a duty to say that to our clients. Now, if it is something to do with the language learning, an emotional block relating to the language learning, troubleshooting how to learn, troubleshooting how the brain likes to learn, troubleshooting how to optimize and maximize the learning process, that's the package within language coaching. So we are not mentors, we're not counselors, we're not consultants, we're not therapists or psychotherapists. So we're very, very clear about that. We're also not just there to say to people, okay, come and have a chat with us. You know, we're not there for a chat session. Language coaching is, in my perspective, it's not about opening the session and saying, what should we do today? No. We already know, because we've already had the first session with the client where the client sets language goals. We have two types of goals. We have mechanical, we have mastery goals. They set both types of goals. They set their plan, they set their actions, and we then create the schedule based on their goals and actions. So we are never just sitting there saying, what shall we do today? And neurolanguage coaching, as I said earlier, it really is bringing in the neuro side. Now, there's a lot of, I'm going to say a lot of confusion as well with the neuroscience nowadays. We have applied neuroscience, cognitive neuroscience, neuroscience on its own. We have neuropsychology, we have educational psychology, we have clinical psychology, we have all sorts of things. I honestly think that they're now so interwoven. And what we are doing is we are bringing in aspects from all of those different angles. The major point is we are understanding how we, as a, let's say, learner, how we function, how we learn, how we react. And as a coach, we're helping people to understand themselves. So we're bringing in the neuro, we're bringing in the coaching. And here you can see the different aspects that we're bringing in from the coaching and we're bringing in from the neuro. I'm just going into the chat box, everybody. Olivia, yes, good vibes to everybody, absolutely. How to talk with your dog. I'm not quite sure what you mean with that one, Olivia. And by the way, everybody, just a little bit of a apology if you see me sweating, is because it really is like 44 here at the moment. I don't have air conditioning, and it really is like, it's my free sauna for the afternoon. So apologies if I'm looking a bit hot over here. Rika, you're saying life coaching and language coaching are two different things. I wonder whether I can involve somehow the life coaching skills into language coaching sessions to enhance the process. Well, there, I would say it's your client that has to answer that. And firstly, I'm also going to say they are two different processes, and theoretically, they should be two different prices. And this is another point, everybody. Life coaching, professional life coaching, commands between 150 and 1,000 euros an hour. You have professional life coaches out there who are taking 1,000 an hour, 500 the hour, 250 the hour. And if we are coming into that space of being a professional life coach, there is always going to be a different pricing system to language coaching. Now, language coaches, the top that I have heard are between 120 and 150 the hour. Those are the top language coaches in the world. So how do we distinguish that service? And I always say, when you're sitting with a client and your client has come to us, let's say the client comes to us for language coaching, and then suddenly we're going into a life coaching conversation, it's really a case of how you're going to situate their brain so the brain comes into focus where you need it to focus. So Rika, I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying, ask the client. Secondly, check in with your pricing. And thirdly, when it happens, if it happens in the same session, I think there needs to be a clear distinction of, okay, we're moving away from the language coaching now. Is that okay with you? To now come into this life coaching question and bring the focus and attention of the brain fully into that. And in that case, you're making a distinction, and the client can then, if we can say it, they can bring their brain into that focus. Okay. Any other questions, by the way, everybody? Just as we are going through and we're on this point, I'll stop there as we are just checking if there are any other questions. If you want to ask questions, you're welcome to as well, everybody, if you want to interact. I can see some beautiful familiar names there. Okay, right. If you do have any questions, do in the chat box, I'll keep an eye out. So, how can coaching impact language learning? Well, here I've gone a little bit into the research. And firstly, I've gone into the research of educational coaching. And we can see in, this was in 2007, so you know, it really is a long time ago that we've had instructional and educational coaching in schools and for teachers. So we see the benefits and impacts of coaching and mentoring program, and we really see that there are a lot of benefits. Teachers' professional development, it enhanced their personal effectiveness, their ability, their reflection, their professional growth, their techniques. They had more energy, more job satisfaction, and better problem-solving skills. Another research paper, 2014, coaching can benefit from the application of transformative learning theory, and individuals can also learn more effectively through the coaching process. 2015, we have Carla Rice helping teachers to understand the fundamentals of effective leadership coaching programs, resulting in long-lasting educational changes. And I want to add this research from Richard Boyatzis. Richard Boyatzis is one of the top coaching professionals who has done a lot of research on the impact of coaching, not only in life coaching and business coaching, but I think this can also be applied across the board to all types of coaching. Now, in this particular research in 2015, they had a group of people who were given a coaching session for an hour, and later they were then put into an MRI scan, and they were played parts of that coaching session back to them. Now, there were two different types of coaching sessions. One group received coaching which was taking them into vision, goals, future. The other group was taking them into the problem and digging in the problem and staying in that problem. And the results were the first group with the vision. The MRI showed that their brains, the parts that were being activated were firstly parasympathetic nervous system was activating, and literally they were in a much more relaxed state. They were, the areas connected to motivation were lighting up, and the default mode network was lighting up. And these are the areas which are really connected to positive emotions, and that's why they called it the positive emotional attractor. Coaching for vision, coaching for purpose, coaching with goals really gets that positive emotional attractor going. Whereas the ones who were focused on the problem had a fight or flight stress response, and the area of the brain lighting up, which is associated with self-consciousness. So we can see clearly there is a very great difference with the two different types of coaching. And that is exactly what they did. As I've just said, you had two different groups. And from here, we can really conclude that when we coach with compassion, when we coach with vision, with personal goals, we're going to get those neural mechanisms lighting up, which are connected to motivation, to new ideas, to creativity, to possibility. Whereas the ones that were focusing on their challenges and issues were really having that fight or flight response. And they were conscious of being judged, having obligations, and it was really harder for them to move forwards. So the impact here is great. And if you've got coaching and education and you're getting learners and kids, adults, everybody focusing on what they want to achieve, where they want to get to, it's really going to help them. And this is the study that I absolutely love. 2021, Chinese university concludes that goal-oriented self-regulation behaviors impact psychological well-being. And that comes because of the increase in academic performance. So they really are promoting coaching or goal type activities or goal type, let's say, behaviors to be enhanced in all schools because of the impact in well-being that it's having or that it's demonstrated to have. And this is more recent research, 2022, where we see that coaching actually enhances creativity. And here we can see that by using non-directive coaching, and when we say non-directive, I'm going back to the permission. May we, could we, not telling people what to do. When we go into that space as a coach, we are helping the provocation of creative insights and creative ideas. So again, we can see the impact of non-directive coaching. Can you imagine this in a classroom? How much we would be provoking those creative insights and ideas. Now, this is the study I was mentioning earlier about Dimitris Stepos. That's where you can find the table. When it originally came out, actually in 2014, that was the original. And he was one of the first to actually study neurolanguage coaches worldwide. One of the conclusions of the study is that most people that become neurolanguage coaches are actually very experienced language professionals, normally middle ages, and very much wanting to give back. And I would say that our community, Carmen, I can see you smiling. Our community is very much a community of individuals that all of us, we really, really want to be able to give, to help, to assist, to accompany all or as many people as we can. So yes, the study was absolutely right. Now, another study in 2021, Emma did a study in Tarragona. And she really looked at how the design for meaningful learning using neurolanguage coaching. And it was a great demonstration of impact that she got from that study. We did a corporate case study last year, and we had 8 learners, 3 of our neurolanguage coaches with those 8 learners. And we measured pre, we measured post, and after 12 weeks, after 12 sessions with our coach, there was a demonstrable, can you say that, significant impact in the learning. By the way, it's so significant that actually the learners then said they didn't need us anymore, which is great on the one side, but on the other side, it's like, okay, they can do it by themselves. They're autonomous. the brilliant thing was the company gave us more learners. So you find that even if you, let's say, lose clients because they become autonomous and they become, let's say, self-regulating, which in the end is what we want, you will always then get other clients coming in. I think that's life. So what's the reason for professional coach training? Well, as I said earlier, I do think now we're coming to the point where we're wanting more clarity in the market. And, you know, it's been a long time for me. It's been 11 years. And I'm very grateful because there was one particular interview on the journey. And that was in 2017. It was in January 2017. And in that interview, even then I was asked, what is the difference between neurolanguage coaching and language coaching? And right back then, and we're talking about 6 years ago, I said that as the concept develops more and more, there is confusion, and this is exactly where we are today, as to what the definition really is, and the market is quite confused with teachers calling themselves coaches without coach training or qualifications. So there it is, that question of, okay, what can make us different? And each and every one of us, we have to ask this question, what is it that stands us apart from the rest? If that's what we want. And I was even asked where I see myself in 10 years. Well, we're still in that bracket. So 10 years will be 2027. Maybe we can have a webinar, everybody, and we can find out. But definitely the point would be to bring more language education on a worldwide scale, bringing more and more this concept of brain, heart, gut into schools, into universities, bringing it in that sort of calm brain space, bringing out lots of foundations. We have the Neuro Heart Education Foundation, which we're slowly getting moving into projects and things across the world. And definitely knowing that I'm not alone on this, because I know there are thousands of you out there too who all want to be the change and to do that. So finally, how can a coaching accreditation help? Well, one of the things we really look at is, you know, coaching itself is a service. And that's key. Because teaching and education, we don't ever see it as a service. We see it more as a, I don't even know how to call it, as an educational process that we have to go through. Now, when you turn it around and you say that coaching is a service, it then becomes, I would even suggest, much more holistic. Because here we have to understand that if we are delivering a service, it's not just about being the 1 hour once a week. It's actually about being much more than that. And a lot of our coaches distinguish themselves because they offer in the prices, yes, they're more expensive, but in the price, they offer a lot more than just a 1 hour a week. So what's in your service? That's the question for you. What are you bringing into that hourly rate or that weekly rate that you are bringing to your clients? And how do you classify your unique selling point? What are your unique selling points? What is it that makes you different? So coaching is about promoting learner autonomy. It's knowing about the learning process, about the brain, about how to troubleshoot, how to set goals in a very professional way, set actions, how to have a very clear structure, no blowing in the wind, how to have a roadmap for that client. And every single client is going to be different. And actually sitting in that space and going through grammar conversations, non-grammar conversations with coaching conversations as the backbone. And maybe even you have a niche audience. Some of our coaches work with psychologists, some work with finance specialists, some work with lawyers, some work with teachers, some work with university professors. Some university professors have done the course and are using it in their university jobs. So what is it And that's the question that's going to help you to really distinguish yourself and look for the better results and the better outcomes. So what are the opportunities of being a service coach nowadays? Well, I think nowadays we're all, post-pandemic, I think we're all rethinking our lives. So we're not, in some ways being forced to be online. Many people have refused to go back to work. Some people now are coming into hybrid. So what do you offer? Do you offer online? Do you offer hybrid? Do you offer face-to-face? How do you get your work-life balance with that? Also, as a language coach, I'm going to say that there should be a lot less preparation. Remember, we said earlier, it's not what we do, it's what they do that's going to get them learning. I had one of my coaches years ago say to me that he was a Japanese language coach. And he called me and said, Rachel, I'm spending hours and hours and hours preparing. And I asked, okay, what are you doing? And he said, I'm transcribing videos from Japanese for them so that they've got it. And my question then was, what's the reason they aren't doing it? And I think the question shocked him because it was like, oh, I don't know. And that made him go away and think about it. Because I think sometimes we do things in automatic. And we do things because we've been expected to do this for centuries. This has been the role of the teacher. The teacher does everything. The teacher gives everything. The teacher provides everything. And they are not learning. Now, in the past, somehow we learned that way. I confess that in my years at school, I don't think I learned very much. I learned after, when I went to university, at the age of 24, when I went to university, then. And then I was serious about wanting to understand how to learn. And that's when I had to learn how I learned, because at school, very little came away with me. And mostly because I was bored. And I confess, a revolutionary. But apart from that, this is the question now, because our learners of today will not learn like that. A lot of parents are telling me their kids are just not learning at school. And it's because of the way that we're shifting from that teacher-focused approach. These learners need experiential learning, they need life learning, they need real and personal. They are so much more sensitive kids than before. And we have post-pandemic trauma as well. They're not connecting, they're not relating. A lot of people are saying their children are not able to communicate properly. They don't know how to express their emotions. They cannot learn as we expected them to learn in the past. And this is where we are moving into more of the coaching approach intuitively, because we have to adapt to the learners. So they have to do more. They really do. I'm also hearing a lot of people are becoming nomads, which actually warms my heart. So a lot of people are traveling and working. And I think we're actually coming back to our essence as human beings. You know, when we were in prehistoric times, we used to wander the planet quite freely and in settlements and whatever. And I think many of us are coming back into that. And it's interesting to see that. And I know a lot of teachers, coaches, neurolanguage coaches who are enjoying that space of moving around. And just to share as well, we have a headquarters here in Spain, which is open to our neurolanguage coaches. We're going to be opening that sort of booking system for coaches to come over from South America and be here 1 month, 2 months. It's really going to be that space for digital nomads. Now, another thing that's happening, I think, across the world, and especially since COVID times, a lot of us are more independent. We're not working so much with academies and schools. We are edupreneurs. We are literally working as individuals in our own space. So this particular type of focus as an accredited language coach is really a springboard to bring you into that sort of business space as an entrepreneur. We have a lot of our neurolanguage coaches who are actually spilling work to others because they've got so much. So then they are developing their own business without having to have a business. So there's a lot of collaboration, a lot of cooperation. You know, in neurolanguage coaching, we've got coaches with all language combinations. So language coaches in France who are asked about, do you have somebody who could do Spanish? They can connect instantly with somebody in Spain, and anybody who wants French can instantly connect with somebody in France or in Belgium, like Olivier, or Hungarian with Rika, or Lithuanian with Carmen. Yes. So this is the I would also say the collaboration, the cooperation, the community helps each other. Because now we are moving into a global market. We're not regional anymore. We're not local anymore. Many, many, many coaches are working across the globe with clients from all over the world. Thanks to the internet, you know, there are things that we can say thank you to the internet for. Other things maybe not, but in this respect, we can. And wherever we can, we try to help. We are constantly here as a soundboard. We are constantly here to troubleshoot, to help. And all of our coaches become part of the Neurolanguage Coach Network. We do give marketing information, how to bring out your USP, how to understand, how to work as an edupreneur. There's loads of videos, free workshops, etc. Like this workshop, all of them go into our library so that the coaches can come back to them afterwards. And we do try to help to think out the box. When millions and millions of people are language trainers, teachers, educators, what's going to make someone come to you? So to become a neurolanguage coach, we do have the first course, which is the ELC, 36 hours accredited by the International Coach Federation, the UK Standards Board, as I said. And there is a pathway, you know, it doesn't just stop there. If you want more, there is more afterwards. So we have, with the first one, you are fully fledged. So with the first course, you can go out in the world and be an accredited, certified neurolanguage coach after the assessment. If you want to go deeper, you then have the Neurolanguage Coach in Action course, which is about the ongoing sessions, sitting in every session as a coach. We don't have this, now I'm a teacher, now I'm a coach. No. Once you're a coach, you're always a coach. Somebody, and I think I said this to Sarah the other day. Sarah, I'm probably going to repeat myself here. I think it was with you. Somebody said to me years ago, Rachel, if they saw you in half, actually, I think it was Gary. Gary, it was you, wasn't it? That if you saw me in half, you're going to see the word coach in the middle. I think that's what Gary said. It was you, wasn't it? You see how I remember? Yes. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, in England, Elizabeth, you probably know this, and Rika, you might know this, but in England, when you go to the seaside in England, you can buy some rock. And it's like a sweet candy. It's like a stick. And it normally has in the middle, it has the word of the place, like Brighton or Scarborough will be written in the rock. So that's what Gary was referring to, that if you cut me in half, you're going to see the word coach, like the stick of rock from Brighton. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper, the advanced course goes deeper. Now, the advanced course takes people into case studies relating to the learning and the neuroscience. It takes us deeper into the coaching. And then we do go a lot further into active listening, the 7 levels of active listening, powerful questions, how to also use coaching models, feeling model, action priority matrix, all different types of models that can be introduced at key points in a language learning process. We also go into group coaching in the advanced course, and we go into impact, assessing the impact with learners. After that, you've got the professional course, which goes wider. Now, the professional course, we go into a lot more of the neurons. We go into neurolinguistic programming. We go a little bit into neurolinguistics, psycholinguistics, the differences. We go into culture and neuroculture. We also look at language strategy. So that particular course, I always say, goes a little bit around so that you're really padded with knowledge. And finally, once you've completed the whole pathway, then there is the chance to become a teacher trainer. Now, we do actually have 33 teacher trainers across the world, and they are delivering in 12 different languages. And more, we are coming into those different languages. Gary, am I allowed to say what you said to me just before we started? About the books? I think Gary's, oh, hang on. I think that sound's gone. Yeah, okay. No. Oh, no, my sound has gone. Okay, let me try again. Oh, do you know what? I think it is. I think my sound box is running out of juice. So, Gary, you're writing it in the chat box for me. I think you are. Wait a second, my sound box is really not happy here. I'll switch it on just in case. Oh, there we are. Right. My lip reading skills are not very good. Your microphone's off. No, I can't hear anything. Your microphone's off though. Oh, you're all muted. Oh, sorry. Let me just see what the problem is here. Oh dear. Where is that button then? On the, let's have a look. Mute all. Let me allow them to unmute. There you go.
That's it. Way.
Oh dear, Gary, I'm sorry about that.
Yes, no, you can
Yeah,
say about the books that the page for the books isn't quite set up yet, but all the books are going to be available as of tomorrow. So yes.
Fantastic. I thought you said Monday.
What day is it today? Oh, it's Friday. Sorry, Monday.
Monday.
God, it is. Yes, Monday.
Yes. So just remind me again, we've got the first book in French, Spanish, Polish, Russian, and English, I believe.
It's English, French, Spanish, and Russian.
Right.
Okay. At the moment.
I think we will have the Polish one as well soon. Yeah, great, fantastic. So those different versions will be coming up on Monday. So Gary is really involved in this great transfer of all of our sort of data in the background. So the books will be available in different languages. And just to give you a little bit of a rundown of what the certification brings, I have to say that we are maybe one of the only organizations in the world that doesn't just do a course and then say bye-bye. There is a world after us. We have touch bases every month. We have the webinars every month. We have a conference every year. We are absolutely connected. And I always say to all of the new language coaches, I'm always available. If they want to call me, if they need to troubleshoot, if they need to connect, I'm always available to make time for them.